Hello everyone and welcome to my Final Fantasy TCG Opus XIII Crystal Radiance box opening. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy and like the video as well, you know, all that typical YouTube stuff. I'm just going to get straight to it. Nice small little incision here. How not to open a box with Choco Belly. Now, cards I'm looking forward to this set. Ovalia is probably the big one, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to that card, because even outside of Final Fantasy Tactics, she has a really, really good S ability, and she's a princess, which means she complements knights really, really well. Get rid of you. Let's open this up, and the box topper I believe is Axstar, which is another card I'm actually looking forward to playing around with, because, you know, the EX bursts and whatnot. Oh no, I take that back, it is Golbez. Cool. There we are, got the lovely box topper in his own little case there. Case, you know what I mean, thing. Right. Let's get this underway. I will keep an eye out on, well, keep an eye out. I will probably take the first few packs nice and slow so we can look at some of the cards. But really, I'm going to be focusing on finding the foils and the legends and full arts as well. And cards that I'm just generally taking interest in as well. Right, I will put that to one side. 36 packs in a box. There's generally about, I think the average is about 10 or 11 legends per box. Get this show on the road. So I always, if you watch my box openings before, I use scissors to open them up. I don't just rip them open because it makes putting them back in the packets a bit easier for organisational things. And we're off! So, pack one we got, so new Dragoon, good card. Well, a good card, he's decent enough. Dragoon, Sage, Sid, Polendina, Raphia, Rafa, need more Vikings, Deleta, and foil 8, and ooh, Leo. So legend in the first pack, decent enough. So he's a Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles card. When Leo enters the field, place one kingdom counter on Leo for each category FFCC character you control. One colorless dull, remove X kingdom counters from Leo. Choose one forward other than card name Leo, light or dark, in your break zone. If it is cost X, play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn or once per turn. So he's an interesting card, but I was about to say, but I much prefer Ramsar. And Wall and Squall. Not a great Squall, I'll be honest, but he's decent enough when you consider the fact that the new Laguna goes really well with him. And, you know, there'll be more things to kind of combo in with a backup. The more cards that focus on a character 8 rather than forward 8 will be able to make use of this. So we've got Ingus, and Quistis, and decent enough Quistis card. I'm not sure I'd choose her over the forward Quistis from Opus 8, I believe it was. But she's an 8 backup, which is good. Artemisia, Cater, Monk, Onion Knight. I really like these Onion Knights. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Final Fantasy Tactics anyway, but I like these guys. Counterfeit Youth and Dryad, a foil Dryad. So not a full art, but still decent and pretty. I love the artwork by this dude. And an Aldor Emperor, very good card. So yeah, when Aldor enters the field, select one of the 3 following actions. If you've received 5 points of damage or more, select 2 of the 3 following actions. Choose one forward, deal it 7k. Choose one forward, cost 3 less, break it. Choose one active forward, deal it 8k damage. So he's a very versatile and decent card. And Fire Lightning isn't the most played combo, so seeing that put together is pretty good. And then Yuzuki is also just a really good card as well. If a fired forward you control is dealt damage by your opponent's abilities, the damage becomes 0 instead. If a water forward you control is dealt damage, reduce the damage by 2000 instead. So yeah, she's pretty nightmarish in the right deck, which would be nice because, you know, fire water. Also be good in a 9 deck as well, 9 tribal deck. Clavat, Luneth. So got the 3 Warrior of Lights, actually named Warrior of Lights, and their backups, so that's pretty cool in a Warrior Light or a standard unit deck as well. Selkielty. So we've got all the Crystal Chronicle generics there, which is good. They're really quite good cards, I think. Onion Knight again, I like this one a lot. Onion Knight, hey! And a foil Time Mage with White Tiger Scene Nimbus. So there's our second legend. You can only pay with CP produced by backups to cast White Tiger Scene Nimbus. He's brave, and when he enters the field or attacks, choose one character your opponent controls, dull it, and freeze it. So a very strong card indeed. Feels kind of like a, I don't know, a alternative Ishtola from the last set, but a really good card anyway. I will note that I'm not going to I'm not going to read out every single Legend Heroes text, just the ones I'm interested in. Oh, Leviathan, a nice artwork there as well. And Charlotte. Charlotte's an interesting card. Summons and abilities, your opponent must choose Charlotte if possible, so nothing new there, but still good to have that, and even more irritating and nice. And then damage 3, Charlotte gains plus 2,000 power, and the damage dealt to Charlotte is reduced by 2,000 instead. So she's a pretty strong card, especially at damage 3. Okay, oh, lightning. So there's the artwork together. It's got Alchemist, Yuke, Palom, Kurosame, White Mage, Knoll, and full art Onion Knight. So it's a beautiful card, I'll say that much. Onion Knights I'm not huge on, to be honest. I haven't really ever played an Onion Knight deck, and they're not the easiest and the most playable. But either way, this is a beautiful card, and I love the artwork on it. The foiling on it's fantastic. Let's see if I can get that a bit better for you. But yeah, really, really nice. And then, Boonavels. So this was the box topper for the pre-release kits as well, so I've got a couple of those. Mid, Rydia, and Jake. Jake, really good card as well. So make sure that I get all the cards to the end of the pack so I don't just cut my cards up. That would suck. So, Tonogiri, Teller, Sarah Mobius, really good card, really, really good card. Clavat, Marak, so more Final Fantasy Tactics support, which is awesome. That isn't Delita, Agrias, Ovalia, or Ramzet. So foil Cecil and Renoa. So some good 8 support there. The cost required to cast Renoa is reduced by 1 for each category 8 character you control. So as I mentioned earlier, Squall. Squall will be really good for that. Sorry, I didn't realise where I was holding the card. And then Renoa enters the field. Choose one category 8 character other than card name Renoa in your Broke Zone. Add it to your hand. And then damage 5 when Renoa attacks. Dull all the characters your opponent controls. So she's a pretty decent card. I really like her. Vermilion Birdless Kaituna, decent enough. Shiva and Fina. Now what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to get all those legends and full arts and the cards I care about and put them out so you guys can see a bit better. So we've got the Onion Knight. Oh, and there he is, White. It's a very unassuming card, White Tiger Lacine Nimbus. It doesn't look like anything special, but it packs a punch, I'll say that much. Dryad, and it's a pretty card, but it's nothing too special. And then where's my Leo? There we are. Cool. I would like to a full art legend, but no, beggars can't be choosers. Let's continue, shall we? So Charlotta, a really interesting card actually, Charlotta. Really good when you're running multi-element forwards and when you're cheating them in as well. She's got some definite good plays there. You got this one, yay, Final Fantasy VIII monsters and Final Fantasy VIII Earth support, I guess, to a degree. Iron Giant, Delusory Warlock, and another Iron Giant. And Kain. Kain's just another way of basically making or representing the fact that Kain betrays you. Spoilers, sorry. So the games that are supported heavily in this set were Final Fantasy IV, with the likes of Golbears and Kain, Crystal Chronicles, Brave Exvius, Type 0, and Final Fantasy VIII, and 3 as well. So, you know, there's a fair few good featured games in this one. Zande from 3, Sid Randle from 4, Rafa Tactics as well. Rafa Tactics got some decent representation. Biswam again, Delusory Warlock, and Foil Delita. And Rain, so Brave Exvius there. He's a decent enough card. I think I'm a bit torn about him, but I think he's a good card actually now. Now, after it's taken a little while to set in, I think he's a good enough card. The cost required to cast Rain is reduced by 1 for each fire backup you control. When Rain enters the field or attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal 1000 damage for each backup you control, and at damage 3, he gains haste. What's good is that whilst his cost reduction is based on your fire backups, the damage he deals on attack and entry is based on all your backups, so it doesn't have to be just fire. Then you got Dryad, Jake, and Charlotte again. Again, make sure I'm not cutting my cards up. Be a sad boy, I'd be like the full art legacy card or something I'd probably cut up. Dragoon, Teller, Koel, Palom, Iron Giant, Belita, White Mage, and Sara. Ooh, so we've got a nice foil classic art there. When Sara enters the field, you may search for 1 job king, 1 job prince, or job princess, and add it to your hand. So a good princess searcher there. And we've got Chime, so some more cool artwork for the FFCC, like in the kind of playing card style. Rydia, Bahamut, and Wall. Loon, Marak, Monk, Simon. Simon's a great card for Final Fantasy Tactics. Dull, put someone in the break zone. Choose one category FFT character in your break zone, add it to your hand, so good enough. Loyalty, Onion Knight, and Renoir. And, ooh, Lightning. So I really, really like this Lightning. When Lightning enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards opponent controls or forwards in your break zone, remove them from the game. When Lightning leaves the field, return each card removed by Lightning's ability to its owner's hand. So one of the reasons I really like this card is if you play her onto the field and you choose to remove 2 of your opponent's forwards, and then on the stack you then break Lightning, that would mean that Lightning's effect to bring those cards back into the field triggers before the cards actually move from the game. But when the cards get removed from the game, they're then gone forever. So if you have a way of reducing Lightning's cost and a way of being able to break Lightning for not costing too much, then you can effectively remove 2 things for not too much CP value. Pavlov. So I got this guy as a full art in my pre-release kit, so I got very lucky there. Odin, another good Odin card, I really like this guy. And Laguna, a fantastic ice card. So if you control a card named School, Laguna gains plus 1000 power, and when Laguna attacks, choose up to 2 characters, dull them and freeze them. So similar to Orphan in some regards. And then when Laguna enters the field, choose 1 character, dull it and freeze it. So the fact he's just a 9k entry, dull and freeze something is really, really good. But he's got a nice bonus as well if you do have some Squalls in your deck. So that would be more where the final, backup Squall would come into play. Clever Lightning again, Alchemist, Illusion Warlock, Arc, Counterfeit Viking, and Charlotta, and Scarmelians. This is a great card. Back attack and first strike. When Scarmelian enters the field, choose 1 forward. During this turn, if it is dealt damage, double the damage instead. So he can just out of nowhere double the damage to anything. Obviously, you can play him as a backup, and if he were to deal the damage, his damage would be doubled with first strike, which is nice, but I think it's nice, just a nice quick play. He effectively becomes a summon at this point that can double the damage, and doubling the damage is no small thing, so it's a really, really good card, I think. Goudon, wow, is this card powerful. So obviously, Wind, Earth, Brave, Goudon cannot become dull by your opponent's summons or abilities, and Goudon can attack twice in the same turn. I mean, jeez, that's horrible. And then you've got Irvine, who's just like VV, there's Opus XIII EV? VV. Final Fantasy, not Pokemon. And Luca. Time Age, Xande, Kater, Hugh, Gnoll, Imaginary Soldier, Lady of Antiquity, Foil Kater, and Lednar! So another legend now. When Lednar enters the field due to your cast, place 1 fortune counter on Lednar. If a fortune counter is placed on Lednar, Lednar cannot be broken. Discard 2 cards, remove all fortune counters from Lednar. Each player can use this ability. So it's the first card to showcase abilities, or a card having an ability that everyone can use. So both you and your opponent. What's interesting though is that if your opponent has a Emperor, Opus II Emperor, neither player can use the discard 2 cards to be able to break Lednar. And then you've got Hope, who's a horrible, horrible card, X-Death, and Laswell. So X-Death is the legacy card. An interesting little tidbit is the fact that this is actually the promo X-Death. So the artwork is the promo. The text is obviously based on the same card. going to start speeding this up a little bit, I think. Gone through 1/3 of the box now, so I'm going to start going straight to the back cards. Ooh, foil Sophie, so that's another legend. Oh, I need to get the legend out there. For each Earth forward other than Sophie you control, Sophie gains plus 2,000 power. For each water forward other than Sophie you control, Sophie gains plus 2,000 power. At the end of each of her turns, if Sophie has plus 10,000 power or more, draw one card, and Sophie deals your opponent 1 point of damage. So quite powerful. But what's good is the fact that Sophie, if you've got another Earth Water forward on your field, they will gain plus 4,000 from both of Sophie's abilities, which is nice. Nice? Nice. I was going for neat and nice and came out with nice. And Kagnazo. Yang, Agrias. Fantastic card, this Agrias, in the Knight deck as well. Agrias enters the field. If you control a Job Princess, draw one card, so it works nicely with the new Avelia. When Agrias enters the field, choose one 40 opponent controls. If you control a card named Avelia, it loses 7,000 power until the end of the turn, and damage 5. When Agrias enters the field, you may search for one category FFT forward and add it to your hand. So really, really strong. And then Sakura. Or Sakura, however you want to say it, sorry. Oh, I need to get those legends out there and put them on the bench. And you, Lednar, woo! Move these out of the way so I've got more room for my cards. Like you guys see, I need to. Sorry, because I haven't got a great angle of the cut of the what you guys can see. Go away. Larkaikus and Barbarisha. Larkaikus is an interesting card because it's similar to Dorgan. So you're playing with Dorgan, you get to remove 2 things, which is kind of funny. Foil Kane and Doga. Doga's a strange card. Not huge enough, to be honest. Alexander's good as well, so it's kind of like a mixture between Titan and Hecatoncheir, but you also kind of just get the buff as well if you're at lower damage as well. So good card though. I think it's a decent enough card. Ain't no coup Sif, yeah. Vanille and Onion Knight. Of course I got Onion Knight. All I need now is a standard Onion Knight, and I have one of each. A standard foil Onion Knight, even, sorry. Ooh, okay, so we've got a foil Conshira. This is an interesting card. So, haste, if you control 4 or more backups, Conshira loses 3,000 power. So, it's a good way of being able to level the card, really. And then Tempest, Spellblade, S, Wind, and Lightning, activate Conshira. Until the end of the turn, all the forwards your opponent controls lose 4,000 power, and Conshira gains first strike, and Conshira can attack once more this turn. So really, really good. And then we've got a Sid Randle, also a good card. So, if you control a card named Remedy, Sid Randle gains plus 2,000 power. Opposing forwards entering the field will not trigger any auto abilities. This applies to their own abilities and abilities triggered by your opponent's forward entering the field. So what that means effectively is if something enters the field and that triggers another card's auto ability, it won't trigger that one either. So for example, if you had Opus, I believe it's Opus 8 Renoa on the field, and you play Squall onto the field, neither of their entry abilities will go on the stack. Sync and Chime again. I am sad to say this is Black Mage and Physalis. Okay, that's cool. Right, so when Physalis enters the field or attacks, if your opponent has 3 cards or less in their hand, select one of the 2 following actions. If your opponent has no cards in their hand, select up to 2 of the 2 following actions instead. 2 of the 3, but there's only 2. Choose one character, dial and freeze it, or draw 1 card. So, a horrible ability because I'm not huge on this card because of the fact that the way Ice got its hand advantage before was making your opponent discard. But now it's also adding draw mechanics into it as well, means that basically you are getting even further ahead, which is horrible. And then it's got Premium Physalis Bullet. S and 2 eyes. Choose one forward, deal 10,000 damage. That forward's controller discards 1 card from their hand. I mean, wow, that is painful. And then another Ramza, 8, and Levnato. So, let's see you go down there. Yeah, so I was about to say, this is only the second set to not feature a Chocobo. The other set was... I forget now. Oh, so we've got a foil S card. Ishtola from the Scions Shadowbringers deck. And Sid Hayes. So, bringing in the Engineers, which is something nobody knew they needed, but now they do. Vanille, Leviathan, and X-Death. Foil Hope, and a Selfie. So, I like this card, I think she's fun. For each forward other than fire you control, Selfie gains plus 2,000 power. When a multi-element forward enters the field, you may pay 1 fire. When you do so, until the end of the turn it gains plus 2,000 power and haste, and then the end, an S and 4 fire and a dull, choose 2 forwards to break them. I'm a little upset that the end isn't a bit more dramatic than that, and the fact that it costs so much, but I guess I had to try and level it somewhat. What's interesting though is that Selfie, if you play a multi-element forward with fire, she doesn't gain her first ability, because even though the forward is of another element, it is ultimately of fire, and that means it negates the first ability. And then Vanille, Levnato, and Odin. Foil Sage and Une. So we've got Une and Doga in this one. Une's a bit more playable, I think. She's an interesting card. When Une enters the field, choose 2 summons, each with a different cost in your break zone. Your opponent selects 1 summon among them. You may cast the other summon without paying the cost. If you cast it, remove the summon from the game after use instead of putting it into the break zone. And then Holy, which is S, Ice, and Earth. Choose one forward, deal it 20,000 damage. Search for 1 summon and add it to your hand. So, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was the forward 6 cost Shantoto. Just deal 20,000 damage to your Shantoto and just complete board wipe for 20k damage, and everything will be removed. And then we've got the Pavlov and Nicole and Sink. Sink. Depends how you're saying it. If it's based on the French 5? It's been a long time since I studied French. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So, ooh, a foil L. So, when L attacks, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand. If 1 or more discarded cards were category FFVE until the end of the turn, L gains L cannot be blocked, and when L deals damage to your opponent, draw 1 card. Damage 3, she gains plus 2,000 power. Not the most playable card in the world, but maybe has a place. And then Golbez again. So I've got the box topper there, but this obviously is not full art. The only way to get full art is through buying a booster box. Goudon, Shiva, and X-Death once more. So let's put Golbez there next to himself. It's getting a decent way through our legends now. So we've got Red Mage and Lid. Lid's, yeah, I think Lid's alright. So when Lid enters the field, or is put from the field into the break zone, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 multi-element card among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. So this card was really good during pre-release, because there's obviously a lot of multi-element cards in this, and it's a good way to be able to color fix as well. And then Mechabo, Custom Hammer, S, and 1 Lightning. Choose one forward, deal it 7,000 damage. If you control a multi-element forward, deal it 10,000 damage instead. We've got Irvine, Fina, and Laswell. Okay, pretty tall pile of cards there. Might have to make a second pile. Okay, foil Thancred. So I've got another S card from the Shadowbringer starter set. And then Sarah that we saw before. Let's put that there, shall we? Marak and Balthier. So this is interesting because this means they're featuring the additional characters from Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lion, which featured Balthier, Cloud, and Luso from Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2, I believe. And technically Aerith, but not really. She may feature as a generic card though. And yeah, I mean, I really like Final Fantasy Tactics artwork style anyway. Ashihiko Yoshida is the name of the artist, that's right. Bahamut, Dryad, and Agrias. Alright, we're on the last 12 packs now. See if the card gods will bless me. So foil, lid, and another lightning. Okay, cool, I'm glad to see a second one of those. I think that card will be fun to play with and fun to do some jank with. And the first thing that kind of comes to mind is just, you know, using her with something, maybe a... I don't know, Cannoneer? Cannoneer, put a forward you control into the break zone, choose an active forward your opponent controls, deal at 7k. So, a foil Ceremobius, I think it's the second one I've got now, isn't it? And then Shara. So I got a foil Shara in my pre-release kit, but now I've got a non-foil. Yeah, kind of more FFTA combo shenanigans. I don't have much more to say on that, to be honest. 8, Yuzuki and Squall. I think she's a decent enough card. Just a lot of the legend cards this set have been much more niche. It's basically the mono element legends tend to be very niche and tryable, whereas the multi elements are just really good. So something like Lednar's pretty decent, Sophie's pretty good, so is White Tiger Nimbus. Onion Knight's still pretty niche, and Golbez's kind of. But things like Leo and Fist, actually, I don't know, forget what I said. Foil Laswell. And a Skarmelian. I do like Skarmelian. He's a fun card. I'm glad to have a couple of him as well. Say fun card. It's fun for you, not fun for your opponent. I'm always happy to see back attack. And he's the original back attack character as well, Opus 1. Only card to feature it. Took a few opuses before they decided to actually add it as a keyword. Foil Celestia. So, yeah, horrible card. The water characters you control cannot be broken by opposing summons or abilities that don't deal damage. When an ice character you control is chosen by your opponent's summon or abilities, choose up to one character, dull it, and freeze it. So I hate this, or rather, I'm going to hate playing against this card, because I can imagine I'm going to see a lot of her. But Water Ice is a very strong mixture in my eyes, and yeah, she only serves to buff that. And then Cagnazzo mid, Cecil, and Jake. So let's just go down there. Onion Knight, foil, and Graph. Graph is a really good card for Mobius. He boosts all, during your attack phase, all the Earth forwards you control and all the Mobius forwards you control gain plus 2,000 power. But Stitch in time, all the forwards you control gain plus 5,000 power till the turn and draw a card. And it's just an S and 1 Earth. So, you know, you can play it at any point. He doesn't have to be dull. You can play it the turn he comes in. There's a lot of good stuff you can do with that card. And it doesn't have to be just Mobius cards, well, obviously it buffs all your Earth forwards as well. Alchemist, and another Celestia. Of course, I said I didn't like this card, so naturally I'm going to see more of it. Don't get me wrong, I like the card, but it's going to be painful. And I don't like playing stall or kind of control decks. I feel like making my opponent not have fun means I won't have as much fun. A full art Fina, who's also a Lexi card. I forgot she was a Lexi card. Yay! Okay, that's awesome. And then Remedy as well. Wow, those two are a good mixture. Wow, I'm super happy about that. Yeah, Remedy I'm going to quickly read out. So when your opponent searches for one or more cards, your opponent discards one card from their hand. When your opponent discards a card from their hand due to the summons or abilities, you may search for this. Search for one card named Sid Randle and add it to your hand. This effect will trigger only once per turn. So when your opponent searches, if they decide to fail the search and not draw any cards, then the discard does not happen. That was confirmed on the FAQ page on the official website. Wow, I'm pretty chuffed about that full art Fina. Counterfeit Wraith is This has got to be like one of the first ones I've seen. Counterfeit Wraith is just super powerful in mannequins. It's worth noting that mannequins are very strong now. All the mannequins that were added in this set are just really, really good. When Counterfeit Wraith enters the field, if you control 3 or more job mannequins, your opponent selects one forward they control, put it into the break zone. So it's not even break it, it's just put it into the break zone. So very, very good. And then Rain. Here we are. Ooh, only 3 packs left. So, Abyss Worm and Kunshira, again, another good card. I ain't gonna get any more legends, I don't think I am. I already got my, well, I got 10. Actually, no, I didn't even get 10. I got the Full Art Onion Knight. So, not including the Box Chopper Golbez as well. Balthier, Foil Balthier, I like that card. And L, again, not a decent card, but not fantastic. And the last pack. I'll do this one old school style. Watch me butcher this as well. Okay, Luneth, Clavat, Delusory Knight, Arc, Cater, Counterfeit Youth, Viking, and a foil Luca, and Rubicante. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of him yet. And then Bahamut, Shiva, and Luca. Cool. Well, there we have it, folks. I think I got some good cards. I think I got some really good cards, actually. I got a couple of Celestia. Also, I said before, it's a good card. White Tiger, let's see. Nimbus, fantastic card. Fistless, really good. Lednar, really good. Sophie, you know, I think I got pretty good rolls, to be honest, with the Legends I got. And the Full Art Legacy Fina. I mean, wow. Super lucky there. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, sorry about I realised some of the angles I was holding the cards. I'm used to the camera being over this side, not here, so I was kind of holding them all this direction, so apologies for that. But yeah, if you enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I do a myriad of Let's Plays of random different games and challenges as well, and I also do the Card Combo Show. I'm also working on a couple of other shows based on the Final Fantasy TCG as well. One talking about the backgrounds of the cards, so explaining like the characters and how some of their abilities represent some of the abilities they have in the games, or some kind of personality traits. And then I'm also working on a show talking about archetypes. So talking about like maybe chocobos, obviously I'm going to do chocobos, but then you've got knights and dragoons and things that are less played, so like warriors, for example. But yeah, there we have it, folks. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!